If I ever believed palaces were dreams made of gold and light, I was wrong. They're cages. Beautiful ones. Yes, but still cages. I learned that on my first full day in the royal palace. After the throne room spectacle, I was ushered, to a chamber grander than anything I had ever imagined. Velvet drapes spilled from the ceiling like waterfalls. The furniture gleamed with hand-carved flourishes. A massive four-poster bed stood in the center, dressed in silks and pillows softer than anything I'd ever touched. And I hated it. I stood in the middle of that room, stiff and overwhelmed, unsure of where to sit, what to touch, or who I was supposed to be. A knock at the door broke my trance. Then came the whirlwind. Servants, at least a dozen, flooded in like a coordinated army. They carried brushes, powders, dresses, trays of food I couldn't name. They moved around me like I was a statue, fixing my posture, retouching my hair, and muttering words I couldn't follow. They called me Your Highness, and I didn't correct them. I couldn't. This wasn't a game anymore. I was in too deep. I tried to breathe. I tried to remember my stepfather's advice. Be smart. Be strong. Remember who you are. But the truth was, I didn't know who I was right now. When they finished preparing me, after draping me in another dazzling gown, I was escorted to my first etiquette session, led by a woman named Lady Amara. She had cheekbones sharp enough to cut glass and a stare that made me sit straighter on instinct.
Back straight,
She snapped.
chin up. Posture defines authority.
She made me walk, bow, curtsy, sit, stand, speak, and then do it all again. I failed almost everything. I tripped, I slouched, I spoke too casually, but I also didn't cry. And maybe that was something. By afternoon, I was brought to the gardens, where I met a rotating circle of noblewomen who welcomed me back, with smiles as fake as their powdered cheeks. Their questions came laced with curiosity, too pointed to be polite.
Where have you been hiding all these years, Your Highness?
You must be so relieved to return. Do you remember me? We were close friends once.
Oh, I do hope the court isn't too overwhelming for you now. Life outside the palace must have been quaint.
I smiled through it, nodded, lied. I don't remember much, I told them. It all feels like a fog. That seemed to satisfy them, for now. But even then, I caught the glint of suspicion in a few of their eyes. They were watching me, measuring me. And I had no way of knowing how long my act would hold. Back in my chambers that evening, I collapsed into the cushioned chair near the fireplace and stared at the dancing flames. I missed soot. I missed the sting of sweat on my brow, the clang of metal, the smell of burnt wood. Here, everything was too soft, too polished, too hollow, and yet, I couldn't deny the power in it. When I entered a room now, people stood. When I spoke, they listened. When I walked past, they bowed. It was dangerous, this feeling. Tempting, but it wasn't real. That night, I lay in bed beneath layers of silk, staring at the carved ceiling and whispered to the shadows, I don't belong here. No one answered. The next day was worse. Court session. I was seated beside the king and queen, my supposed parents, on a raised platform before dozens of nobles, ambassadors, and advisors. The room was buzzing with politics I didn't understand, words like border tensions and grain tariffs flying past my ears. I tried to look composed, regal, but I felt like a squirrel in a lion's den. King Vincent leaned toward me once.
You're doing well,
He said gently. I nodded, even though I didn't believe it. Queen Rosalind rarely looked away from the speaker, but once, just once, I caught her watching me. Not harshly, but searchingly. Like she wanted to believe I was her daughter, but part of her couldn't quite make peace with it. And I couldn't blame her. Neither could I. As days turned to weeks, I learned more about what it meant to be Princess Amelia. My every move was observed, every word weighed. I had tutors for history, politics, literature. Meals were timed, walks were scheduled, I had an entire wing of the palace to myself, with guards stationed discreetly nearby at all times. Luxury and surveillance in equal measure. Some of the staff adored me, or rather, adored the idea of me. Others kept their distance. But the two who stood out were the quietest of them all. Marjorie, a warm-hearted chambermaid who helped me dress without fuss, and Samuel, an elderly gardener with soft eyes and strong hands. Marjorie always seemed to sense when I needed silence more than conversation. And Samuel. He didn't say much at all, but once, as I wandered the garden aimlessly, he offered me a flower I'd never seen before.
It blooms in shade,
he said.
Some things thrive when no one's watching.
That night, I pressed that flower into my journal and wrote for the first time since arriving. Just one sentence of, I am not her. Still, I learned. I adapted. I curtsied more smoothly. I learned to speak slowly, like royalty. I memorized noble names, made small talk, smiled when I wanted to scream. But behind it all was the lie. And it grew heavier by the day. At night, I wondered, is she alive somewhere? The real Princess Amelia? Does she even remember who she is? And what would happen to me if she ever came back?